Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Atul. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. He says, "There are so many things that I want to do in life. I have brilliant ideas, big visions, and good plans, but everything gets left behind because of my pornography habit. This behavior creates so much shame and anxiety within me. I've tried to let the shame be my motivator to quit, but that hasn't worked. Please help." So, Atul, thank you for sending your question. I'm sorry you're going through this. And I know I shared with you, when I saw your question, I shared with you a link to a webinar that I did about overing habits, meaning overeating, over drinking, any kind of behavioral habits fall in this kind of category, I guess. And all habits are the same. All addiction is the same at the root of it. There's different ways that this stuff shows up, but the ways it shows up, that's what our eyes focus on. We think like, oh my gosh, I have a pornography addiction or a food addiction or an alcohol addiction. We tend to focus on the surface level ways that things show up, but those could be anything. I mean, that is so inherently unimportant. It's so inherently impersonal. So I want you to start to get a feel for how all habits are the same. And so I shared that webinar. I'm going to share the link here in the comments. And for everyone, just to begin to get a feel for this. And the webinars on overing habits versus other habits, not because they're different, just because of the examples that are used and the stories that are told, but to really kind of get a feel for how all habits are the same, to insightfully see why we get caught up in this stuff, that it isn't personal, that it's not about you. This habit doesn't say, any habit doesn't say anything about any of us. That as human beings, we feel discomfort at times. And when we feel that, we want it gone. It is so against our nature. Discomfort, it's a paradox. I mean, humans feel a lot of discomfort in life, and we know that's not us. We know that is not the truth of it. That is not who we are. That is not what we're meant to just hang out in. So when we feel discomfort, it so strongly goes against our nature, our fundamental nature as human beings, that we misunderstand it, and we become afraid of our feelings, and we get caught up, and and then we do something to try to help us feel better. Now I'm speaking very broadly and generally, but this is kind of what's behind all habits. We feel something we don't like, and we do something to try to make it go away, to try to get ourselves closer to home. What we choose could be anything. It's not like we sit down and consciously choose it, but what helps us feel better could be anything. Could be pornography, it could be anything at all. What matters and why this has become a habit, why things become habits for us, is that we feel better for a minute. We start to associate, our minds start to associate this behavior or this substance or whatever it might be with a little bit less thinking, with a little bit less being caught up in our experience. We get distracted from our own busy mind, and we feel a little bit better, and our brain remembers that. So, Atul, what I want you to see, and everyone listening who has this habit or any habit, you mentioned that you feel a lot of shame and anxiety, and that it kind of looks like shame might help motivate you to stop this. Like this is so wrong, and I can't believe I do it, and look at all the things I'm not doing in life because of this habit. And that seems like it could be motivating, and I get it, that it seems like it could on the surface, but I almost never, ever, ever see it really work that way. Because here's the thing, shame is natural, it's so human, it's so normal, but it's built in a misunderstanding. It's built into a misunderstanding. It's shame feeling like we're doing something wrong or we're wrong. It's rooted in a misunderstanding about our behavior. So when it looks to you like this habit says something about you, when it looks to you like it's personal, when it looks to you like you have a lot of other options, you could just choose something else to do with your time. Any of those things, when those things look true, we feel shame. Does that make sense? Shame is coming from this looking like a personal thing that you have some choice in. I don't see it that way at all. And I want you to consider that maybe it's not that way. Maybe this habit is not personal. Maybe it says absolutely nothing about you. And again, any habit, any addiction. Maybe it doesn't say anything about you. It doesn't mean you're a weak person, a flawed person, that you like what you're doing more than you like being in life. It doesn't mean anything. Just what if? What if it doesn't mean anything about you? What if you are always doing the best you can see to do from the thinking you're in? So it's not like you can just go choose something else. I tried that for years. I know everyone who's had a habit or addiction has tried that. Well, let me just make a different choice. Let me just make a different decision. I'm just going to not do it anymore. I mean, it just doesn't work that way because we're making a decision through a bunch of misunderstanding with our mind. All this thinking is feeling like it's making the decision, but we don't see clearly. So we can say all day, "Oh, I know better. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to make a different choice." But when it comes down to it, when our experience still looks really real and heavy and personal, we don't really get to just pluck a different decision out of thin air and do that one instead. It just doesn't work that way. Life would be very much easier, very different for all of us if it worked that way. It truly doesn't. So what I want you to start to see, and that's why I shared the webinar and I'm going to share a little bit of it here, what I really want you to start to see is that this has nothing to do with you, that when we feel discomfort, we just reach for something that our brain tells us is going to help us feel better. It doesn't matter if we know better. It doesn't matter if it only helps us feel better for a minute and then we feel worse. That's all habits and addictions. But we just get this mechanical thing going. That's why we call it a habit, right? It's just this mechanical process that goes where you feel something, maybe just even the urge. Your brain says, okay, here's the way to fix this feeling. Go watch some porn. You feel a little bit better for a minute. That just reinforces something in your brain. So you mechanically, you're a machine just like all of us. So this is just a mechanical process that's happening. And again, same no matter what your habit is. Go buy something, go work, go watch some Netflix, go eat, drink, do drugs. It's all the same in this way. It is not personal. So we get caught up in the machinery and this process that's playing out. That's just a habitual habit of a machine brain. And we start to think it means something about us. And we start to feel worse. And we start to do it more because we feel worse, and you can kind of see that cycle. So it's so important to begin to see what's really going on here, that this is not you. You aren't choosing this. You don't necessarily want that, none of that. All that theory that everyone in the world kind of tells us, because it's just the best we've seen about all of this, is not accurate. Start to see this as an impersonal, mechanical process that actually makes perfect sense when we see it for what it is. It is something that in the past has distracted you from a busy mind, from some uncomfortable feeling. It's distracted you from that. And that starts to feel really, really good. And your brain starts to say, I need more of that in order to feel okay. So what this all kind of comes back to, as you get a feel for where this is coming from and why this habit's there, and you start to see, deeply, insightfully see for yourself that it's not personal and it's not a matter of choice and all of that stuff, you start to see, wow, this is just a process playing out and it's not anything like I thought it was. You won't feel more shame because it's not motivating anyway. You'll feel less shame. You'll start to have some understanding and some compassion for yourself. And that is what makes room for you to see things in a brand new way. It isn't about just reaching out and changing a behavior. Again, if we could all do that, man, things would be super simple. It's about seeing this in a different way from the inside out, really seeing that this doesn't mean what you think it means. And ultimately what it's coming back down to is that when there's some discomfort there and your brain says, as all brains say, I don't like this feeling, I need to do something, and your brain has a great solution for you, that's your habit. When that discomfort's there, that discomfort is also not as it appears. So we get caught up in these shortcuts. You know, we don't feel well. Our mind says, "Oh, I have the solution." Before you know it, you're long into your habit. That's all of us with any habit. But when it's up at that generalized level, when it's up at that shortcut level where we just find ourselves doing it, or we just don't feel good and we say, "I know what I need," like that's showing us where our mind is with it. That it's very conceptual. As our mind starts to settle down, as we insightfully see why this is happening and the benefits of it, like the intelligence behind it, all of that, how innocent and impersonal it is, it's almost like our mind just quiets down and we get to see it in a new way. This is where you'll the idea to watch porn will pop up and you'll see it with fresh eyes. You'll see, oh, I don't have to do that. Or some discomfort will show up, an urge or anything, some resentment, some fear, something that might have you run to your habit in the past to not feel. You'll find yourself with a bigger capacity to feel stuff. So this is a lot. I'm kind of giving a overview, a primer of all habits, all addictions in 10 minutes. So I really want you to explore this a little more deeply. Watch that free webinar that I'm going to share. And for you or anyone that's really struggling with a habit or addiction, the Little School of Big Change is like the thing that has helped when nothing else did for so many people. It's why I created it. This understanding helped, was the thing to finally help when I had tried everything. And thousands of people have said the same as they've gone through this school and explored this. You will come out seeing yourself, your habit, your addiction in a completely different way. And that's what makes room for it to change. Not jumping in with willpower and just doing something different. We need to see the illusion for what it is, see it all in a different way. And then rather than our mind just jump into this behavioral solution, it's like your experience gets a little more fluid. It's a little more fuzzy and crystallized, and you can have new experience of the same stuff. That's where real change comes from. So I'm going to put the link to the Little School of Big Change here as well. Our next class starts in about 5 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, on August 30th. And I only lead that twice a year. It's a great place to be if you're struggling with anything like this. You will see so much, and the whole paradigm for how you think your habit works and how you think you work will be completely flipped on its head. So thank you so much, Atul, for sending your question. I'll share some links and some additional resources here, but I hope that this started to give you a little feel for the fact that for all of us, whatever our habit or addiction is, how it looks in our head is not how it is. And all it takes is a little bit of openness and curiosity to kind of seeing the underside, like seeing the flip side of things, and suddenly it starts to make sense. You see the intelligence in it, you see how impersonal it is, and that's when stuff really starts to change. So there's so much hope. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sending your question, and I'll see you guys back here next week. Thanks, everyone.